From June 7th to 9th, mainland China's college entrance exam, also known as the gaokao, took place. Let's take a look at how the students who have been under pressure for years rushed out of the exam halls. In the first video, the student who rushed out of the exam hall slipped and fell to the ground. A netizen commented, "The first person to run out of the exam hall every year could become a celebrity. Just live streaming the run is enough, and today we've got an extra twist." Following this, students continued rushing out of the exam hall. Some slipped and fell, while others collided and stumbled. One female student fell after exiting the hall, amusing the netizens, calling it a large-scale social death. There were also students showing off their acrobatic skills, flipping and tumbling as they rushed out of the exam hall. Some students walked out with a dazed look, not knowing where they were. Why are students so emotional? For most ordinary children in China, from primary school to high school graduation, they compete and struggle in an extremely harsh environment. On June 7th, at an exam center in Zhoucheng, Shandong, a male student in white clothes suddenly broke down, tore up his exam paper, threw it on the ground, and then grabbed the paper from a student behind him, tearing that one up as well. Then he rushed out of his seat, grabbed another student's exam papers, and tore them to shreds. The exam hall was immediately in chaos, and the proctor hurried out to seek help, pulling the student out of the exam hall. Netizens commented, "This student broke down just before the finish line. Tearing up the exam paper in the exam hall means his life is ruined. Chinese students are so pitiful. From a young age, they're taught to have a place in society. They must get into a prestigious university and become top talents. They lose the normal joys of childhood and the care of their parents, as the purpose of learning is no longer to gain knowledge, but to bear the expectations of their entire families. Learning and exams have become the only content of mainland Chinese students' lives for the past decade, and the gaokao has become the ultimate goal of their efforts and struggles. So when they rush out of the exam hall, they feel that all their burdens are finally lifted. They believe that after 10 years of hard study, the most grueling days of their lives are over. If they get into university, their future will be secure." However, these naive students may not realize that as China faces a comprehensive economic downturn and deflationary spiral, the job prospects for college graduates are entering an unprecedented slump. They will soon face industry involution, difficulty in finding jobs, devaluation of degrees, and knowledge becoming useless. The gaokao will not change their fate. The more knowledge they have, the poorer they may become. China's economy is stuck in a deadlock, and their suffering has only just begun. According to public data, in 2025, the number of graduates from China's regular universities is expected to reach 12.2 million, an increase of 430,000 from the previous year, setting a new historical high. The employment pressure on graduates is unprecedented, and employment issues are set to become a major challenge for the Chinese government. According to a report released by Zhilian Recruitment, the employment rate for the 11.8 million university graduates in 2024 was only 55%, meaning nearly half of university graduates were unemployed. This is likely to raise the unemployment rate for the 2025 graduating class, exacerbating the competition for jobs and worsening the employment situation. According to a report from NetEase, recently a netizen posted that the employment rate for 2025 master's graduates from a university in Sichuan was just over a quarter, and all PhD graduates failed to find jobs. None of them could get hired. The post showed that on November 28, 2024, a teacher from a university in Sichuan in a group chat said, "This is the employment statistics for the 2025 master's graduates. You can refer to it. Last year at the same time, master's students had an employment rate of 51.5%, but this year it's only 27%, half of what it was last year. PhD graduates have an employment rate of 0%. Those who still haven't secured a job should hurry up, and while working hard to graduate, also send out more resumes. The pressure to find a job after graduating is very high." The teacher also reminded students to secure a job offer before graduation. She said, "If you wait until graduation to find a job, you'll be competing with thousands of people in society. Hang in there." A netizen commented, "Don't think this is just an isolated phenomenon at certain universities. The difficulty for university graduates to find jobs and the devaluation of degrees are widespread now. The higher the degree, the harder it is to find a job." A netizen from Shanxi posted, "My wife graduated with a PhD in chemical engineering this year. She's 33 years old and has been unable to find a suitable job. She started looking for work before graduation, and even now, after graduating, she hasn't found anything. She sends out resumes, but they're like stones sinking into the ocean, with no response." Netizens flooded the comment section with responses. Look at North Korea or Cuba. After Latin Americanization, PhDs are now in the same position as migrant workers. Suggestions for PhDs to find jobs: bricklayer, carpenter, steelworker, concrete worker, caregiver, security guard, cleaner, landscaper, courier, etc. These are revolutionary jobs, building socialism. Very honorable. In 2022, Wang Minzhen, a former nuclear physics PhD from Peking University, took a job as a street management worker in Beijing's Chaoyang district. A master's graduate from the University of Manchester also ended up working in a similar position in Beijing's urban management. Two other master's graduates from the China Foreign Affairs University and the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences also became street management staff. These cases caused a stir at the time and trended on social media, with many expressing shock and lamenting the devaluation of degrees. As the economy continues to stagnate, the devaluation of degrees has reached a new level. In January 2025, Tong Jie-chung, a master's graduate in civil engineering from Tsinghua University, spent 6,000 yuan to enroll in a cooking course at Langxiang Vocational School, sparking heated discussions among netizens. Tong Jie-chung explained that this was a carefully considered decision for her long-term future. Netizens commented that this situation reflects the awakening of young people facing economic decline. They said that the challenges faced by talents like Tong Jie-chung are not isolated cases. The Yao class at Tsinghua University, known as China's top selective class for the computer science industry, has cultivated tech giants and AI experts. The phrase, half of China's talent comes from Tsinghua and half of Tsinghua's talent comes from Yao class, reflects its elite status. In the past, even the lowest-ranked Yao class graduates could earn a starting salary of $1 million. Now, graduates from this program are taking on outsourced positions. A private auto parts factory in Harbin is even asking for PhDs to apply for regular factory work, with a monthly salary of 3,500 yuan. A netizen commented, China is experiencing severe degree devaluation. While inherent factors like high expectations, low skills, and poor industry adaptability among university graduates contribute to this, the rapid devaluation of degrees is closely tied to the economic downturn, which has shrunk the job market. This has also expanded the graduate school market. The Chinese government's commercialization and industrialization of education have led to an aggressive promotion of graduate studies, encouraging students to delay entering the workforce while exhausting their families' resources. As a result, the true unemployment rate for graduates, masked by continued graduate school applications, remains hidden. No one understands the devaluation of education more than I do. The value of degrees today is even worse than you can imagine. PhDs are almost as cheap as cabbage now. I graduated from Tongji University, which used to be highly respected. Back then, many students said, I'd rather go to Tongji for architecture than go to Tsinghua or Peking University. But now looking at it, Tongji's admission score is already the lowest among the 985 universities. I thought I was already doing badly, but now I realize that my friends who pursued graduate studies are in an even worse situation. She mentioned that in 2024, the number of master's and doctoral programs increased significantly. Nationwide, 831 new doctoral degree awarding institutions and 1,924 new master's degree awarding institutions were added, totaling 2,755 new programs, a 15% increase from the previous year. Looking at this number alone, one might not feel much, but over the past decade, China's graduate school enrollment has more than doubled. In 2014, there were around 620,000 graduate students, but now that number has reached 1.3 million. The question arises, why are universities so eager to establish these master's and doctoral degree programs? The answer is quite practical: money. With degree programs, universities can apply for national-level projects and receive funding. Universities are very ambitious. They work hard to upgrade their status. There used to be a clear regulation that universities had to proportionately assign faculty with advanced degrees to match their degree programs. For instance, if you want to offer a master's degree, 25% of your faculty should hold a PhD. If you want to offer a doctoral degree, 45% of the faculty must have a PhD. So, where do universities find so many PhDs and master's faculty members? They import them from abroad. For example, a certain university in Hunan brought in 23 PhDs from the Philippines all at once, and it's quite a coincidence that these PhDs all graduated from Adamson's University in the Philippines, and they're all philosophy PhDs. What a coincidence that they all went there to get their PhDs hand in hand. This school was even included on a list called the Strengthened Credential and Degree Verification List, which is essentially a blacklist. These cases are outrageous, but the most ridiculous part is that the universities spent over 18 million yuan to bring these PhDs in, and the wholesale price wasn't cheap. The blogger explained that besides the Philippines, South Korea also has an entire PhD production line specifically for China. In just 12 days, you can complete a semester of a PhD program. Don't even ask what they study there. After a series of operations, a strange cycle emerges. She said, to upgrade, universities bring in a bunch of fake degrees from abroad. They successfully upgrade, then recruit more PhD and master students. But after they graduate, they realize that the land is full of PhDs and master students, and the only people who benefit are those who brought in the fake degrees. PhDs. This large group of newly graduated PhDs struggles to find a job. I'm not trying to cause anxiety, but this is what's really happening. PhDs have become low-income groups. If this continues, getting a PhD or a master's degree might become a luxury. Unless you're really passionate about academia, have money, and come from a wealthy background, this may not be the right path. Otherwise, why compete for academic degrees and end up poorer? According to data from China's National Bureau of Statistics, in 2024, 4.4 million people applied for graduate school. In 2023, 1.3 million students enrolled in graduate programs, with 3.9 million graduate students currently studying. At the 2024 fall semester opening ceremony of Tsinghua University, the school announced that it would admit 3,800 undergraduate students and 9,926 graduate students. Meanwhile, the University of Science and Technology of China will have over 2,000 undergraduates and nearly 10,000 graduate and doctoral students. The University of Chinese Academy of Sciences is set to enroll over 400 undergraduates and over 10,000 graduate students. Netizens argue that the design of admitting more graduate students than undergraduates is not aimed at upgrading higher education, but rather at covering up the severe unemployment situation among university graduates and shifting the responsibility for China's economic downturn. In an attempt to mask the economic decline, the Chinese government is manipulating data, creating an informational black hole. According to a report from Bloomberg, the recruiting platform Zhaopin has not published reports for 2 consecutive quarters. These reports usually track the average salaries of newly hired employees across 38 major cities nationwide. Typically, this platform releases such data within a month after each quarter ends. The delay in publication reflects China's increasingly stringent approach for disclosing statistical data in recent years, particularly in the employment sector. Independent indicators that could replace official data are becoming increasingly scarce, making it difficult for analysts and investors to grasp the sensitive reality: high youth unemployment, widespread salary cuts, and ongoing layoffs. Netizens point out that the ongoing unemployment crisis is affecting various industries, leading to a sharp rise in unemployed individuals. Many people with master's or doctoral degrees are struggling to find jobs, and some who previously had decent incomes have suddenly lost their jobs. Many of them don't want their families to know, while others cannot face their friends and family and pretend to go to work every day. Some businesses have seized this opportunity, leading to the rise of pretend-to-work companies, where many young people pay to occupy a desk, sparking heated discussions. Since the beginning of this year, cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, Chongqing, and Guangdong have witnessed the emergence of these pretend-to-work companies. Operators say that with the growing number of unemployed people, many don't want their families to find out. For just 30 yuan a day, they can sit in a company and go through the motions of a 9-to-5 job, even receiving a so-called payroll slip at the end of the month. A netizen shared a video of her day spent pretending to go to work after being laid off. She arrived at the so-called company at 9:45 a.m., asked about the pricing, and ended up spending 30 yuan to sit at a desk. While making coffee in the break room, she encountered the company's CEO, who jokingly referred to as a rich boss. He had paid 60 yuan to sit in the president's office. The company even prepared afternoon tea for team-building purposes, but it was just for photos and couldn't be consumed. The netizen spent the morning in the so-called office, eating breakfast and browsing job listings online, and during breaks, she played with her phone. Observing her colleagues, she noticed that they all appeared to be deep in thought, and she wondered, "I'm not the only one without a job, am I?" At 12:15 p.m., while eating lunch at her desk, she saw one of her father's friends also working there. By 4 p.m., she posted a picture of herself working in the office and told her mother she would work overtime that day. By 5:30 p.m., many of her colleagues were still working overtime. It wasn't until nearly 8 p.m. that her colleagues began to leave the office, and half an hour later, she too finished work and went home. A blogger noted that these pretend-to-work companies are becoming increasingly common. Young people, afraid of being pressured by their parents about marriage or work, have no choice but to pretend to go to work every day. Additionally, with China's worsening economy and the increasing vacancy rate of business offices, many investors have resorted to turning large commercial spaces into shared office spaces, offering short-term desk rentals to meet individual needs and generate more business returns. A boss of a pretend-to-work company in Chengdu, Sichuan, explained in a video, "On the surface, we're a company, but in reality, we're an adult daycare center. Here, you can freely play with your phone, use the computer, and enjoy Wi-Fi, air conditioning, and a 9-to-5 schedule, all without needing to clock in." According to her, the company's owner even pretends to assign tasks to employees. Of course, at this point, you can refuse with any excuse, and you don't need to worry about being fired. You can experience the pleasure of throwing tasks back in the boss's face. A similar pretend-to-work company has appeared in Chongqing. An operator posted a video saying,
In Chongqing, we've prepared a place for those who want to pretend to work. It looks like a legitimate company, but in reality, it's just a space for you to spend your unemployment gap.
He further explained, the unemployment rate in Chongqing has been high recently. Many people, after losing their jobs, are afraid to tell their families, so we had the idea to open a pretend to work place. You can occupy a desk every day, sit next to a computer, and pretend to be working. If you want to experience being a boss, you can pay to work in the company office or the CEO's office. The pretend to work company concept has also spread to Guangdong.
Recently, a friend of mine opened a company in Dongguan called No Work Company. Now, his company has fully booked dozens of workstations, and they're all occupied. At this No Work Company, you can curse the boss, not work, sleep, read novels, watch videos, and do anything you want. You pay 30 yuan a day for a workstation, and you can start work at 10 a.m., finish at 5 p.m., or even at 3 p.m. This is called No Work Company. Did you ever think such a company could exist? I didn't, and it's real.
Information from China's company registration platform shows that similar pretend-to-work companies have been registered in cities such as Beijing, Changsha, Taiyuan, and Hangzhou. A video shows that the new Era building in Jing'an District, Shanghai, is full of young people who rent desks for just 9.9 yuan, pretending to work. The rise of pretend-to-work companies across various regions has sparked heated discussion. A netizen commented, "Isn't this just like an internet cafe? But instead of playing games, it's a place to form teams and chat. It's much better than an internet cafe." Another netizen remarked, "I think it's great. For just 9.9 yuan a day, the cost of utilities and internet at home is already higher. After staying at home for a while, it's nice to find a taste of office life, and you realize there are plenty of people who are in the same situation." And said, after the college entrance exams, the excited students may never imagine that even if they get into a prestigious university, they might still face the reality of being unemployed upon graduation. If they knew that even if they triumphed in the exams, tomorrow they may have no place to go, how would they feel? How would they understand this absurd world?